Um, I've got some family plans this afternoon, so I thought I would go ahead and strike up a live stream this morning. I skipped yesterday because wasn't feeling like 100%, so didn't think I would be good company. But back again today. Now, for those that have been following, um, you'll notice I've redone the subway train one more time. Um, I think this is either the third or the fourth version of this thing that I've put together. I had originally wanted to use the Orin walls for the entire construction of the train itself. Mostly because I just had it in my head that the train would be white. But as you can see, other parts of the station use the same decor. So it kind of started looking really monotonous, and you just didn't see this pop as well against its own background. So I went ahead and started working with some other materials. As well, I've modified how the front end looked. I really wanted like a curved shape, but I just couldn't get it to work the way I wanted and have the space that's in it and everything. Um, I did originally when I started with the Chua pillars, I started going with like a fanned effect to kind of give it the shape. But in the end, I just extended the glass down on the side, tucked it in. Since these are fairly large, you can just kind of sneak that in. You don't have to worry about it looking uneven underneath. The only issue I had was I couldn't keep the glass the same size all the way down. I had to keep shrinking it because it kept poking out at the bottom. But other than that, I think it's kind of progressing a little bit. I've mentioned before, I'm not very mechanically inclined, so I don't have a good imagination when it comes to putting together mechanical bits to look like something like there was someone that had posted an image in the forum about a free bot that they had put together using scraps. It looks fabulous. I probably would have never come up with something even close to that nifty looking. So kudos to those that can do these spaceships and vehicles and all these mechanical doodads that really look the part. But this is my effort so far, and I'm happier with it than I was before. It's likely I'll probably make some more changes here and there, and but for now, I think this is the way it's going to stay. It stands out against the walls in the back. It's pretty formidable looking, clunky maybe, but I think it'll work for me. If I keep changing it, I'm never going to finish this thing, so I've got to draw a line somewhere. As you can see, I've incorporated these nifty Dominion cages um, as part of the construction. I wasn't quite sure if it was going to work all right, and I may end up putting like some kind of a walkway thing. I just don't want it to feel like it's risking, as the train moves through, that you get it caught up on it. But for now, you can just walk directly straight up into it without any kind of little stairway platform thing. And it does open up on the other side, which is okay. Maybe as an emergency exit, if they can't get to the one, and they have to get out in a hurry, they can exit the vehicle this way. Um, I'm probably going to install some kind of a wall with a doorway here, so that passengers can't just idly walk into the cockpit area. As you can see, I've only done the one half because really I wanted to kind of settle on how I was going to put it together uh, first before I did the other side. It just made sense to work that out first before I committed to it. Plus, it's just a ton of pieces. Um, I've ended up, I think, overall using far less pieces, switching to the Chua pillars than I did with the Oran floors. But we'll see, because I keep adding little bits to cover up other things. Like I've got 3 pillars here just to cover up some of the cage bits that I wasn't too keen on showing, but trying to make it look like it came that way, is a little trickier. And it's not completely like mirrored, to get these pillars here. I couldn't keep them the same size as this one, though I had wanted to originally, because as you sink this in, it only reaches so far. You're limited. The little barrier for hiding stuff stops at a certain point, so I had to shrink it down to get it to not cover, because it overlapped considerably the door. Um, so little things like that it's not exactly, uniform all the way across. I've had to adjust sizes to work it in like I wanted. But you can see here I stopped yesterday. I was busy covering up this section here. Just needed a third one to come in. But I've already installed all the windows on this side, and added a few details. Mostly this is just to cover up. There's a small bit when the door is open that sticks out, and while it's not that big of an issue, I just thought, I'll put a little decoration there. It may change, but I like that it kind of replays the gold theme. There's gold on the emblem here, there's gold on the door, and of course this already kind of has a coppery goldy look to it. So for now, I think it'll work. Of course, in here, I've just gone with cheapy blue sofas. The idea is I'll have a row on this side, another row on this side, and then have the aisle that everybody can walk down. And while the train theoretically extends beyond this part, I'll probably go ahead and put make it appear as though there's part of the couch for the next cabin, and just pretend that it extends on. So I'll probably need another 2 here, 1 on each side. And of course I've added a start for how I was wanting to look for the luggage rack. Maybe just 1 per couch. Maybe I'll extend it so that it covers the whole area here, or maybe it's just 1 here, and then like have a few like posters, like a billboard. You know how on some of the subways and trains and stuff, they have like little advertisements, or like instruction panels where these are our emergency exits, or this is the route that this train takes, whatever. I may put something in the middle there. At first I thought maybe I would cover this up, but I kind of like that maybe it's a beacon that lights up in the event of an emergency or something. And of course I had to leave, account for the space. It overlaps a little, but I'm not going to nitpick on that part. But I wanted to, give room for when the door is opened by someone that's coming in, that it doesn't disrupt too much with what's going on inside the cabin itself. So for this morning, we're just going to essentially finish up the other half and try and get away with, as best we can, just basically copying and pasting. It's a lot of copy paste when you're doing structures like this. Again, I used the exile rug here. I know it's an exile symbol, but since I don't have very many pieces that have to do with Protostar. I'm just kind of playing that it's their, I don't know, little logo thing. And I did this for the golf cart that's upstairs in the main area of the plot. So I'm just kind of mirroring that down here. And I'll be doing that probably in other places as well. Just to kind of uh, make the two areas, the bunker house and the outside, uh, go together a little more. Okay, so we'll just pick a spot here and drop a few pillars. Because I know I need at least one here. Just looking to see, is that one big piece or two? Looks to be one. So what I'm checking here is how I've done. This one's got, I think, 3 small pieces. Maybe it's 2. Let's see, this one is 2. But on the other side, it's 2 bigger ones. They're a little wider. That's probably the one I copied here, and I'll just carry that over. I worked a little bit on this yesterday, obviously, but my head was killing me, so I wasn't quite sure if I was doing a good job of moving and duplicating. I accidentally deleted a few things or created them, and kind of was getting cranky at myself because I was having trouble concentrating because of the headache. But I much prefer to piddle around on the game rather than like do nothing, because it just feel like it calms me. The game does. So you know, even when I'm feeling poorly, while I may not be sociable and chatting in guild chat or whatever, I still like coming here to play. Now you'll see that there was like a gap here where the window is. The idea is, I think I did it over here already. Yeah, I've added a second layer of these pillars. There's one here, and then there's a second one here, and that fills in the gap. I'm not going to add a third inside, I don't think. I say that, I may end up doing it anyway. It just depends. But that just kind of seals it in. And of course, the same will be done here, adding some extras to cover up the mismatch of the glass, how it overlaps a little unsightly. So we'll leave that at 2, and then we'll go ahead and sneak in that second one here. Now, I'm not going through the trouble of checking the positioning of that one on the other end. I'm just going to wing it back here, because if someone's going to nitpick that much about the precision, then they probably should never come to one of my plots, because I don't really, in some instances, if it's easy to kind of check it, then I will. But since it's such a great distance, and I know there's a little discrepancies on size for the pillars here and here, with them not matching, so it's not going to be exact, but it'll be similar enough that I'm hoping it won't be too noticeable. It's one of those things where I know all of the little inconsistencies or quirky bits, and that's where your own inner critic kind of becomes an issue, because you see all of the flaws, but someone else that might come in, they might just, you know, overlook it and just accept that it's the same. It's probably the same height and all of that. You know, unless you have something like right next to each other and it's clearly a little off, then I don't think you really have to worry about it too much. Okay. Now the fun part of blocking this in. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and cover this up real quick, though. A lot of tulip pillars. Put it up, I guess. The fun thing about glass is you can't pick the bit through the glass, go around on the other side. Now, I'm just figuring out how deep I need to put that. I don't want to really leave a gap here between the two. I probably could and just say, well, it's the glass thickness, but I'd rather have it solid. So there, just to cover up the overlapping glass bits, because in order to get this cleaner without having the corner gaps, I had to tilt it so that threw these ends off, and I've luckily been able to hide most of it, but for here, I'm gonna have to purposefully nest it between the pillars. Uh, Sometimes these bits are a little tricky to from a distance. It could be just my graphic settings. It looks a little jaggedy here and there. Like here, there seems to be like some gappage. Um, and it's probably my setting C, but no matter what depth I put it at, it stays the same. So it's something quirky about how mine looks, the graphics. I don't think I have everything set super low, but I don't have everything set super high either. Mix and match of in between. So that could be to my disadvantage when it comes to building stuff like this, but and now I'm also going to be checking, how it meshes up with the one on the other side. The middle one I'm not so uh, concerned about, but definitely the end square. So there, it looks like a solid uh, color kind of thing, and you don't have that unsightly overlapping of the glass showing through. If I, built this so that you can't actually go into there, you can only maybe see in through the glass on the side, maybe I wouldn't have to get that uh, picky about it. But uh, well, even from here you'd see it. So yeah, it's just little details. If you actually built it so this was solid and you just pretended that that was the cockpit, you wouldn't have to worry about those kind of details. But when you've specifically made it so that people can get in and look, you want to make sure and cover up things like that. Okay, so now we're going to start slapping this in, so to speak. And just try to make a full, complete structure here. A giant, I don't know, if I put some ears on this thing, I think it'd look like a weenie dog. Um, but for our purposes, we're going to pretend it's the prototram or something. Let's see. I'm going to lay a few out. I know I need at least two, and then we'll just start with the two, I guess, and get those sorted in. is I'm going to have this mirrored as well because it's all duplicated on the other side. So I want it to, that I'll have to lay in another layer of glass there. So we'll start with the bottom. Of course, that's it on the other side. Copy. Now I'm going to kind of eyeball it at first. I'm looking here at the corner to see about how far that overlaps. I've kind of got myself in the center, so it's probably not going to be exact, but I'm looking at where that lands and kind of guessing about where it needs to be. I'll place it for now, and as I lay in the rest and kind of square everything up from both the inside and outside, I'll adjust it as needed. But, you know, it's like when I first started putting this new body together, I had left the old frame as a kind of a guide of where I wanted to put things, which was probably not a good idea because I ended up with all of these pillars and then floors inside the pillars, and I had to kind of go hunt and pick for them to remove them because I didn't want to leave them there. It just add up to the count there. But you know, as you're doing it, it's you just kind of get everything in place. Everything's not lined up exactly like how, and then as you get the shape that you want, then you can go in and refine it a little better. And see, like it looks pretty about the same just from looking at it here. You know, the width here looks about the same. These look a little off. This one's angled a little funny, I think. So I'll probably have to tweak that. And then as I tweak it and then go out, then it won't look right. And I'll tweak it from outside, and then I'll come back in, and it looks all messed up again. But yeah. Okay, so we're gonna just double check and get a little tight fit here, but looking at it from the front. So yeah, see, it's pretty close. And for me, close is, I'm not going to go in and like try and calculate distance or whatever. It's just as I line up other things, I may notice it's a little off, and I'll adjust it and redo the lineup a little better. But for that, I think it looks good. So now we want to start with the glass panels, and I don't know if that'd be easier to work on the outside. Probably out. So we need 3 glass, the metal frame, I'm just gonna tuck them in here, I think. Oh, that just kind of, guess I locked it out there, didn't I? Okay, so we'll start with the large one, and hopefully. Now I'm also paying attention to about where I've got the glass as far as this. So this will, oh, I think I lost it. Yeah, I think I misclicked it. So I don't know where it went. Well, let's try that again. Either it's me that's still asleep, or the copy paste still doesn't work 100% like I'd like. Okay, but what I'm saying is I'm going to line this up with the edge of the glass up top. But another indication of if I've got these pillars in position pretty good is how they look here. if they're kind of not quite centered, more leaning towards being more on the out. And this looks similar um, to me anyway. So I think we're in a good place there. This is flickering as if there's two pieces there, but it sure didn't look like. It doesn't look like there's another slice of glass there. It's hard to tell. Oh, there is. Okay, so I had it there all along, and it was just picking me up. Again, it's probably me just being half asleep this morning. I get up at like 5:36. Maybe not physically out of bed, but I'm awake at that time, and you would think I would be fully alert by now, but here it is, almost 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still kind of sleepy. Okay, so probably make people dizzy doing that. Make myself dizzy sometimes, but just it's awkward to try and get a good spot to view this. I mean, you want to get in there and, you know, so you can see it from all angles and make sure it's lined like you want. But in little confined spaces like this, it can be a little tough. Okay, now we need to do the final little teeny weeny piece. I know for those that have to watch their count, having to put in one extra piece just for this is a little annoying. But, you know, if I was to bring the same size down or make it larger, it would just poke through the bottom, and you know, that poses its own problems. You know, if this was flush with the floor, then yeah, that wouldn't be an issue. But since it's actually above, you know, you have to watch that. That was another reason why I was kind of thankful that I switched from the Orin floors to the pillars, because the pillars have a thickness and it allows for more leeway on sinking things into it to hide the bits that you don't want seen. The walls, even enlarged, they're fairly thin, so that would have been an issue, I think, later on when I was, especially when I was starting to put in little electronic bits up here and other things. Gotta watch what I'm doing, or I'm gonna mess myself up again. Easy to get distracted when I'm rambling on and in the middle of doing something, and then I think, okay, what was I doing? Okay, so now we have this matched here. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this window on this side as well. Now, some may wonder why I don't just buy all of the glass pieces that I need at once. Partly because I'm in the habit of only buying what I'm actually using at that, because um, oftentimes I'll change my mind about something and uh, either end up not using it and then forget to delete it, and then have to hunt through my list to see what I can remove when I start running out of space. So I just kind of work piece by piece. I don't say, well, I need 50 of these and 20 of that right off the bat. Sometimes I'll buy in bulk, um, especially when I'm experimenting. Like I bought like 30 of the orange floors and I was playing around with them. But more often than not, I just kind of buy in pieces as I use them, even though I know I'm going to be using a few more down the other part. It's just how there's some consistencies in how I work, and others I just kind of change it up depending on my mood. I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna almost try that again. Keep selecting the page. we'll get it. Getting there. Now, if I remember right, these were pretty lined up as far as positioning this way. So we'll keep that similar. Yeah, it looks about the same. I think this might be a little further out. Maybe. Of course, I'm looking at the line, but the line's probably not the same. You know, it might be a little more narrow on this side, and it just looks like it needs to be moved that way. I think I'll just. Because it looks pretty close to the edge, just like it is here, rather than staring at that little blemish on the column. And again, I should probably go ahead and duplicate that pillar. Tulip pillar. Yeah. Sneak in a copy there. Just bring that up here. Just kind of cleans it up a little bit. And it's not a must. You know, it wasn't that harmful that part of the cage is showing. I mean, it's you know, there anyway. And that is kind of a pretty accent, and it is gold and everything. But for the purposes of making it look cleaner on the outside, it just seemed fitting to hide it, just to make the lines a little more, instead of having gold bits and maybe possible gaps and things like that. You know, I don't want my train whistling as it goes through because it's got, you know, little holes and stuff. Okay. Yeah, that looks cleaner. So now I'm gonna see about mirroring this over here. Do some more jewel pillars. And just trying to put it on the cage instead of on the. Okay. And again, that means this is going to be 6 pillars here. If I could get away with using a larger size, I would, but because of the height of the structure itself, I can't make them too. Again, it's one of those things, I see a vision in my head about how I want certain things to look, but I don't have the pieces that, you know, it's not like you can bend the column to take the shape that you want. You have to kind of fake it by layering them together or however. The one thing that is the most awkward is these things, the little knobs that they have on the ends. I would much rather have it just the column with no little base on either end, because that really gets in the way a lot. You know, I've tried to make it work okay with the construction I've put together here, but it's really cumbersome, especially when I was trying to do the fanned look of it to get the angle when I wanted it to be solid here. Those things just stuck out all sorts of awkward ways, and it was really hard to get them covered up. And I think it just would have been a huge mess. I'm, you know, working with it as best I can here, but I still would much rather just have, you know, um, See, I selected the cage again. Don't do that. I don't want the cage. I want... Oh, for crying out loud. That's the fun of working with the cage. See, I'll just leave those there and put a couple more here. It's the same with like benches and stuff. You go to click on them to move, and then you try to sit on them. Okay, so pillar. Yeah, a couple here since he's being cantankerous. Tried to sour my morning. Again, I'm just kind of eyeballing how deep they go. To my eye, it looks pretty close, so I'm going to leave it. Again, as I work on it from the outside, I'll probably see that it's not as strategically placed as I imagine it. Because even here, I can kind of tell that's not lined up exact. Need 3 more so that I can set them up for the outer wall. And 2, a lot of times the copy paste will offset it kind of oddly, so that could be a factor to consider as well. First, that one I can't even see where it is, so I know it's going to be wrong. But we'll get it kind of in the right spot. And then we'll fix it up when we go out. Okay, so we're going to take a look out here. Kind of just checking the width here. Yeah, it looks pretty similar to me. It might be off by a few. So I'm just going to line these 2 up with this one. Get a good shot of where I'm putting it. Already had a few visitors that's come and to check my progress up close, and had some positive comments. Turn that off. Yeah. So that's encouraging. At least I know I'm kind of going in a fair direction. Just looking here, how this looks. Similar. And I'm going to have to put this emblem on the other side too. Most people, you know, a lot of people, well, a lot of people probably won't bother coming over here and looking to see if there's also a little emblem on the side, but I like to have those kind of things follow through. So I'll definitely be throwing those in. Okay, so now we've got the 4 pillar here to mirror. So we'll grab this 4 more Chua pillars. We'll just copy. Here. Now what I'll do is I'll check just to get a little bit of sameness, I'm going to check where this one is situated. So see, it's pretty close, but just slightly off. So we'll sneak it in. And what I'll do is, once these are in place, I'll get a better idea of how it looks as far as how the door is sitting. And if it looks really odd, then I may move these all together. But for now, that'll work. So that at least this side is matched up with itself. So it doesn't feel like the subway is doing that. I mean, the train. Close myself up inside that. Again, fell off the bus side. These are at the 1490. So see, it was pretty close. Even when you're eyeballing it, you can get it pretty in there. But you know, for someone like me that's got a little more, the cage, not the cage. And since we already know it's at 1490, we'll just pop that in there. So now we have the mirrored wall effect. And it looks to be pretty much like the other one. You can see the whole door. I don't think that's true on the other end, the other cages, but good enough for me. So that works okay. So now we move on to the other card. Well, let's see. I guess I'll go ahead and do the rug real quick. I don't think I have one in the inventory because, again, I tend to only buy as I use for certain things. It was the short one. If not, I'll be in trouble. Bring that straight on. So it boop, pops out. And I'm going to check how far out it is. Yeah, that's about the same. So, see, now looking at this, it doesn't look right, does it? It looks like it's totally off, even though we know that we've essentially straight across, supposedly. To check that, we're going to check this positioning here. Because I do know that the copy and paste loves to offset. So that says it's at 173, right? So this should be similar. And it is. So either these moved over right and the rug didn't, or there's something really squirrely here. Like, here's my window. And the window's lined up right where it should be. But the carpet isn't. So Why is that? It's a mystery. So either something in my construction is really off. See, I'm even looking here. This thing is fairly centered over that. Let's see, about the same. Yeah, see, fairly centered. But for whatever reason, when we put this over and brought it across, it didn't stay lined up. So we'll just kind of let's get and blah. Nobody knows the difference. Okay. Let's see, did I do? Yeah, I got both on that side. So I think for the cabin area, it is solid now. I think it's all sorted. So we're good to go on that. So I'm just gonna create so I can avoid mishmashing around that thing. So now for the passenger cabin. So first of all, we had this really large pillar I want to put in. Now again, I'm eyeballing this line here of where it kind of overlaps, and then I'll check it in other ways as we go. I'll look, for instance, here where it matches up with the wall of the door here. Kind of, it doesn't come all the way to the edge, just kind of out that way. And it's similar here to me, to my eye anyway. Okay. Same way here. I'm just kind of getting an idea about how in it looks. A little hard to see, but and of course it's not going to be exact looking because the cage itself is shaped differently. So yeah, there's not a whole lot this way showing, but this amount right here looks similar to me, similar enough that I'm probably going to leave it like that. Okay, so that's the top part. Now we need to duplicate the bottom. Now the bottom is, again, one piece. That makes having to set up 3 or 4 pieces and try and line them up just so. And I really like that here for this, specifically for the passenger cabin, I've gotten away with using essentially 2 large Chua pillars to make up the body of the passenger cabin. Whereas before, when I'd used the orange floors, I think it was like 20 or more to try and make the wall of the. So that's a big difference between using, you know, a little handful and then like a gargantuan amount. Because remember, I'd have to double that just to make the other side, and it's like, I don't want to do that because that's just outrageous. So now I'm just kind of eyeballing it here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the positioning, positioning of this one. I never remember what XYZ, what I'm looking at. Very bad about that. So I always move it, check which one is changing, and then I'll reselect it and see what it is set at. So it's 1438 for that one. This one's trying to hit 1438. So supposedly it's right about there. So now I'm going to look kind of where this is, you know, in relation to everything else, just to kind of get a feel. Looks pretty good to me. Guess they don't want their door open when they're running past these little contraptions. Bust that open. And thankfully, I didn't go too much wider because like the tight fit. Again, you can see the bits are gapped a little bit. I mean, they're coming out. And notice they weren't coming out as much on that side as they were on the other, but I'm not going to go in and pick these. Have. Okay, so now the fun part. I may end up having to widen this a bit just to be able to make it so that you can actually walk through when there's all of these couches in here. We're going to see though. Fingers crossed I won't have to consider this. I think it's going to be a pain, but let's just test that out. I think I have an extra sofa in here. Yeah. We'll just dump a few in here. 3. Then we're gonna hopefully not try to sit in them. Just wanna put them in. Now, if you'll see, I've sunk them into I kind of wanted to give like a built-in kind of look. Probably doesn't come off that way. It just probably looks like it's crowded, but I'm hoping that doing that will leave plenty of leg, which it looks like it's going to be. I mean, it looks crowded, but it still works. Now, if I feel like there's plenty, I may go ahead and bring those both sides in so that it's not sunken in like that. In fact, I will probably go ahead and do that just to see. Now that I have yeah, so see that'll still work really nice and not have it feel super. It's still, even though it's kind of a tight space, enclosed, it doesn't feel crowded. More so than your typical public transportation would be. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and line these up. See, I should have remembered that was the previous checking, but so 978 for these. We'll go ahead and bring all of them up to that so that they're all the same. And then this one is at 1314. Now I could do it one of two ways. I could copy and paste this one and then just try and line it up that way. Or I could just copy paste this one and then line it up with this one. And I think that's what my choice. Oop. I don't want to sit. I already looked to see what that one was sitting at. That was at 1314, so. I was thinking ahead that time. Sitting. Again, I would like a toggle or have it to automatically disable the functionality of these items when you're in edit mode. That way you don't constantly be trying to sit or use the object that you're wanting to manipulate. That would be a very good quality of life. And let's see, in 14, if I remember rightly. Okay, so yeah, we're starting to really fill in here. Now the glass, the way I did it, probably not like the best way. I could like try and figure out how I can make 3 equally sized panels and stick them in there, but I just did, well, it's 3 panels, but it's a bit overlapped. I thought maybe it would break up the monotony of and help indicate that there is glass there by having the frames. And so it's different sizes, like a small, medium, and small, and it's repeated. So it's actually 3 pieces. So we'll go ahead and grab 3 more glass pieces. Metal. And then we'll just copy paste, move it right across. And again, I'm going to be looking at kind of the positioning it is on the pillar and in relation to the seat. And of course, since it's the one, you really have to look at like here. Just seeing this little area here, how it looks similar to that area. Again, because I'm not going by exact numbers when I'm mirroring the side, each side. It's just kind of a lot of eyeball. And to me, it looks pretty close. I mean, I may be off by a few bits, but pretty dang there for me. So that'll be my guide for the rest of the class. So copy. That again. Copy. It's like it lights up, but it doesn't know that it did its thing. And again, I'm eyeballing it, but what I'll do is I'll pick this one, 48, and then I'll adjust. It's probably not really exactly matched because I'm pretty sure I offset the middle one so that it wouldn't flicker as much. When you turn certain angles, you can tell it's doubled up a bit. So it flashes that in that way, but if you have them directly overlapped where the glass is like right on, it does like the other pieces, it'll flicker. And so I'm pretty sure that's offset a bit, but I'll fix that later. So let's see if I can select, yeah. Final piece of the glass for this cabin. Was that 1448, I think? It's not really flickering right now, but maybe it's because I didn't offset. I don't know. went ahead just to be sure. Now I'm going to come back out, have a look. Yeah, even from up there, I think you would get a very quick idea. That's some kind of a public transportation, even if it does look like the Weenie Dog Mobile. I think it's because it's brown. It just reminds me of those Dachshund dogs. A hot dog with a mushroom. Okay. Look at it from the other side. Sort of. What to do from this angle. Okay, so now we're going to start adding in our little detailing, which would be like pillars here. I think it's just 2, not 2. And it just covers up the extra bits, extra unwanted bits here. Yeah, there's like the gap, and it just looks unfinished. So we're just going to box it in. And so it's actually going to be 4 because we got the 2 on the out and the 2 on the end to hide the gap of the glass. So 4 pillars. Lay them out here. See if I can do this without triggering that Dominion cage. Okay, so first I'm going to copy this one out here. And drag him out. And I'm just going to plop him down. I'm going to check the distance here. I think it's the X, so what was that at? 14.9. So we're going to flip this one in. Ugh. So delicate. You get it? There we go. Okay. So again, I'm going to be looking about how it looks here. You got the dark poking out, but it's not showing here, and I think it's different on this side. Oh, no. Okay, so we're good. We're good. Hi, TJ. Thanks for watching and appreciate it. Compliment is very much accepted. TJ says this is cool. I don't know how cool, but it's okay. Okay, so we're in a good spot. It's also got the black on the bottom, so it's like a double black here. Yeah. So now we'll just copy the second one. Put this in here. I think I closed the door again. No. Open. Open sesame. Okay, let me try that again without triggering the door. Again, I really would love it if they would set it so that when you're in edit mode, that it disables all that gadgetry stuff so that it won't function while you're trying to move it or work around it. That would make my life much easier, and I'm sure there are others that would feel the same way. Okay, so I think it was 1490 that was positioned at, so I'm going to do that again here, and voila. So now we have the exterior pillars set. Now we have to come in and mirror it for the interior. Just to hide, because again, there's the gap between the glass and the rest. And then of course, this sort of unsightly bit of page that we don't want showing. So I'm going to copy this one. And we're just going to bring this over And again, I'm just eyeballing, kinda. Where it is. I'm looking here, like how far it is from the window. I still see that the silver here is showing. It's not coming all the way, not like this. It's tucked in. So that looks good to me. There we go. And of course, you have this bit here, so that's, I don't know. Is that gonna bother me? Maybe I pushed it in too deep. It needs to come out just a little bit, maybe. Look the door. See, that's how you can tell it's not quite same on both sides with the cage. Cause, back up, back up. Open. Stay open. Maybe, let's see, I'm checking the black here. It's a little deeper. Yeah, it is. So I can get away with pushing these in just a little bit. And that'll fill in this gap here. So that's at 1489. So it's just little nuances here and there that you'll come across, and you just kind of have to. Oh, I'm gonna regret using these cages. They're so annoying. Okay, yeah, see, that looks cleaner. I mean, there's a little teeny weeny bit showing, but I don't think that's gonna freak me out too much. I mean, I know it's there, and now my viewers do too, but I think overall it'll be overlooked. They will forgive me. Okay, so open. Clicking on it. So that's the pillars on that end. So I still have these here. Duplicate on the other side, and then I think we'll be at least done on the body part of the first passenger car, because I still have like the luggage racks to contend with. First though, yeah, see, that's like a huge gap. I mean, I could extend the windows even further to go ahead and cover it, but I don't know, it looked weird, and so use the pillars. Want lots of jewel pillars, apparently. Okay, so we got one still sitting in there, so we'll grab him. Now I thought about, I know in some like subways and stuff, there's like the poles in the center of the car for like those that want to, maybe they can't find a seat, it's so crowded. But I think that will definitely be too much of an obstruction for easily walking through this area. So I'm going to not include those types of features. But so when you try to replicate something from real life and bring it into the WildStar world, there's little things like that you kind of think, well, maybe that won't work, because you just have to consider collision. There's always collision going on, and I really seriously think that putting a pole in there would disrupt that a lot. So we're going to pretend like, while this is a busy track, people are polite. If it's full, they'll wait for the next one. Protostar has always got one going. That's how it goes in my head anyway. Okay, so we got the one. Which one did I copy? I think I copied the outer one. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to drop three more, but I'm not here. So maybe I'll quit clicking on that door. Like I need a third one from the vendor, so I'll grab it real quick. And plop these out here. I don't think I slept in a good position last night because I feel all creaky. Okay. Oh, Carrot wants to ride. I'm gonna have to name my pet carrot. Thinking maybe Sticks or speaking of Stick, hello Stick, Stick Man. Thank you for watching. Maybe Sticks or Crunchy, or I don't know what I'm gonna call him, but I'd like to call him something. It'd be even more fun if we could actually put names on the pets, but maybe it's too wowy. Okay. Yeah, I think it was 9, something like that. Looks decent. Yeah, we'll go with that. It's not right up butted against it like this one is. I could, I guess, technically add a third one, but I'm not gonna. It's just, maybe I do end up adjusting the cages itself. I nudge it a little bit and kind of even it up. I don't know. We'll see on that. But I'm just gonna leave it with double instead of triple. Because really, while I want to cover up these little gaps and stuff, I still am watching my item count and storage count. I want to keep it to a minimum if I can. Okay, so panel's looking good. Cart itself coming along nicely. They need to go with the interior ones now. I think I only need one. I don't know why I keep thinking I need 4. Because it's more like 3 instead of double. But anywho, copy this one here and bring it in. And it's mostly just to kind of fill up that corner so that there's no gap between the glass and the outside. Just kind of eyeballing. Appears to be still a bit of a gap. I probably will have to gauge. Let's see if I can do this without really messing it up. Close it just to kind of feel. I'm kind of looking at the centering of the doorway. Sort of. See if that helped. Yeah, that seemed to do a little better. I think I need to bring that in some. I'm going to check where this one here is. As far as where he snuck in. 1445. That's his little. So there's still a little bit showing. Maybe I put something else there to kind of cover that, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a. I don't want to change it too much how I've got it. I think it'll be like a snowball effect. I move one thing and then I have to move this one and then I have to move that one, and I don't want to get into it, especially at this stage of it. Okay, so I think that is the body of the first passenger car sorted now. So lastly, we need to sort out the final cart. And obviously it's not a full one, there's no room for it. I mean, I could have moved this down further from this direction, but I kind of wanted to give it the impression that it's either parked and then everybody just boards on through these first two doors and then they just make their way down the train, or that, you know, maybe if the doors are closed, it's just arriving or something like that. So clearly this is going to be just a partial cart. So in a way that's good because that's less pieces I have to put together. But it's also kind of tough because I can't give that illusion that there's depth here. We're just kind of pretending that it's a, I don't know, some kind of weird wormhole effect kind of thing where people walk through that black and they don't disintegrate or something. They just kind of are in the train. I don't know how I would even begin to like put things on that flat surface to make it look like it's, you know, going in. At least not with the materials we have on hand. Okay, so copy that one, paste, and then slide that one over. Okay, now I'm going to be looking here, see about where that might be sitting. Because again, this one isn't the same size as this one, so the positionings will be a little off. I think. Let me check that. This is 8. Okay, so I guess I left it the same and it's just kind of shrunky. So we'll take the location of this one and just make it the same. Make it so. What was that, 38? Oh, just looked at it and remember. I think that's where it was. And again, the same here. I think I just duplicated this one and moved it up. So yeah, that is an idea, Stick. Stick's suggesting I use one of those, the dark red tinted glass. I'm thinking maybe the Dominion panel. Is that what you're referring to? He says to make it kind of look like a portal, so that the train has to go through the portals to get from station to station. And that may be an idea I go with. Again, it's like I just kind of threw this up and think, well, I kind of wanted it to look like a tunnel, but it's really hard to fashion a tunnel out of flat. But yeah, I may, I'll jot that down, in fact. Oh no, it's no biggie. I think it's called the Dominion panel, or the Dominion scanner even. Maybe it's Dominion scanner panel. I don't know. Even I get kind of messed up. I use a lot of like Jabbit Hole and Living in WildStar to get the names of things accurate. But I kind of think I know what you're talking about. So I'm writing that down uh, as a thing to try later. Um, for now, I'm probably going to leave it just and concentrate on getting some of my other details because I've got a lot of junk I still have to add. Um, and as I've mentioned before, I'm not really good on electronics and mechanical stuff like making machines and things. And I have a plan of having a lot of like machinery in this particular section, so I'm a little intimidated by it because I'm going to have to learn the names of all the little mechanical bits and keyboards and screens and try and get my hands on some of those. Because up until this point, most of my plots have been pretty low tech compared to many others. And so I really haven't gone out of my way to get a hold of those things. I have a few just because I've picked them up, randomly. Um, but I'm really going to have to, I guess, spruce up on my techie part because I really want a lot of high techness to this particular section of my plot. And that's going to be a new thing for me. So, okay, I've forgotten what I was doing. To a pillar, yes, to a pillar. Need a pillar for the top. I think what I'll be able to do is just get away with copying and pasting from this side, and then kind of verify its position on the other afterward. Two questions. Stick asks, do I craft my housing stuff, and if I'm on NA or EU? First question is, I craft some of it. I'm an architect. I know all of the recipes that are currently available. So when I can, I craft as much as I'm using. A lot of the stuff I can craft, though, I typically don't use. Partly because I forget I can make it, and I just don't consider it as a piece that I might want to use. Um, but yeah, if you're really going to get involved in housing, I recommend at least having an alt, if not your main, as an architect because it'll save you a lot of searching and bugging other people for those pieces that you might decide you actually need. As for where I'm located, I'm on the EU realms, Jabbit, to be precise. So yeah, if you happen to be on EU, then this place is not currently public. I think I have it only set to neighbors at the moment. I prefer to, in the past, I only worked in private when I set up a new plot, and I'd like go hermitified for a week or two, and my guildmates would think, where is she gone? And they go, oh, she's stuck in housing again, which is where I typically am anyway. But when I'm doing a new plot theme, I really kind of just zone out everything else and focus on getting it sorted like I want. So I tend to work in private, but this way, being able to stream while I'm working on it is a new kind of experience. So while I welcome people to come and watch, I don't necessarily want a bunch of people running around while I'm trying to work because that kind of conflicts with if I'm trying to put something where someone is standing, that can be an issue, and I don't want to constantly be telling them move out of the way, move out of the way. And while I do have it open to neighbors, I don't really have very many of those. And typically my play hours are different from theirs, so I'm able to work relatively in quiet, so to speak. Of course, I'm getting distracted now. Let's see, I need to buy a pillar. Buy a pillar. once the station down here is relatively somewhat finished, a plot to me is never really finished. It's just kind of in a state of readiness, I guess is a good way to say it. Once it gets to that point, I will go ahead and open it up to the public and make an official announcement forums about, hey, my plot's done. You're welcome to come and take a look. In the meantime, this stream is a way for non-neighbors to have a peek, and are free to offer suggestions or just watch me fumble around in housing. Um, I hope that people will find it helpful to see, at least from my perspective, what all I go through to try and put something together. Uh, Most housing videos or streams out there are just, you hear them playing music and maybe they're talking with their friends, but they're not really explaining why they choose a certain piece over another. So I'm trying to give a little bit of extra insight into why I do what I do and how I do it. Yes, there are some things I do off screen, but I usually try and explain what they are, and I mention what pieces I use and all of that stuff. Hi, Dulnaren. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right. Yeah, I have time for a quick question. No problem. Always time for questions. I mean, that's what the chat is for. Otherwise, I wouldn't pay attention to it, and I'm just lining up the pillar to the same height as the other one. Daenerys says, I'm just starting up a long break and want to start fresh. Curious if there's a path you would recommend for a budding DPS engineer. Well, unfortunately, that's kind of outside of my uh, reliable advice, I guess is how I would say it, because um, while I do play WildStar, I don't have the foggiest idea about other classes than my own, and even my own. I'm probably one of the worst stalkers. Um, Engineer, though, really, for me, when I choose a path, I go based mostly on how I play the game anyway. I like picking up junk. When it's like in Diablo when the little animals pop out all the little goodies. I just grab everything, whether it's white, gray, whatever, because that's more money. So for me, because I like picking up junk and I don't like um, uh, say jumping puzzles per se, I knew right away that Settler was for me because Settler is about picking up junk. You pick up these little resources and then you put them in something and you make something useful of it. If you prefer jumping puzzles, you like the challenges of those kind of things, then Explorer would be the path for you. If you just like killing stuff and you really go out of your way to maybe solo things a lot, I know a lot of uh, guildmates and stuff like to challenge themselves with the higher mobs, even if it's a 3 or 5 man kind of a creature. They're intent on soloing it. If you're that kind of mentality of a player, Soldier would probably be ideal. Um, but it's the same way with choosing your professions. It was only obvious to me that because I'm so into housing, architecture and survivalists were the way to go. For someone else that's not into housing, maybe that's not their thing. Then again, maybe they feel like, well, I can make money off of whatever I make. I tend not to sell what I craft. I just craft what I need or what others ask me to craft for them. Um, but yeah, choosing a path is a completely uh, personal choice, and I would strongly recommend basing it on your own play style. If you're if you're like a lore hound and you want to know all about the creatures and stuff, then scientists would be better. Um, yeah, there are pros and cons to all of them. Um, and like say some base their path on the knowledge that they have a certain role to play in their raids for their guilds, and there may be some preferences there, but for me, I play what I want to play, how I play it, and not necessarily because the guild needs another scientist or something. Um, so yeah, just that's how I would do it. I wouldn't, go with what other people say is the best path or anything or the most interesting to them, because what they find interesting might not necessarily be the same for you. I hope that helps. I don't know if it does or not. It might just rambled on for nothing, but um, yeah, I hear that a lot. People will say, what class should I, take? Are we short on healers and are we short on DPS? And for me, it's the same. Play what you enjoy playing. If you are primarily in every game you play a healer and that's what's comfortable for you, don't feel that you have to go DPS just because there's tons of healers. Um, if your guild is a good one, they will find a way to include you in the raids, even if they have they'll find a rotation of some sort that they can fit everybody in at an equal time. And that's how ours does. So uh, I never really was comfortable in those types of guilds that would say, well, we've got too many of this, or we don't want you to spec this way. You got to spec this way if you want to raid with us, and that kind of thing. I don't like that kind of stuff. So um, I'm just going to add in the last glass panel here. If I can remember what glass I had. Metal. Oh, okay. A little tight fit here. Let's see if I can place this without triggering something else. Because I have been having a day with those cages. No problem, Dolnaren. Oh, that's a hard name to pronounce. For me, my tongue is kind of sleepy still. Okay. Again, I'm just kind of eyeballing what it looks over here and kind of matching it up. So probably not going to be exact, but it's going to be close enough for me. And now we have the Chua pillars. So again, I remember I only need 3. So we'll put those out here. I think I'm going to need to buy them again. Yeah. Three more. Yeah, because there's a pretty big gap there. So we'll start with the inner one on the outside. Copy that one. And then we're just going to drag them right straight across. Now I'm kind of looking, again, I think it's the same positioning as these. So what I'll do is I'll just go to the other side, drag it out so I can see it, and then I'll double check where these are and match it up and see how that looks. Okay, now I can see right away this might not work all right. Well, no, okay, so again, I've used some kind of similarities and not here. On these two, the black is showing through on both. And I think I did that because these two panels here, the pillars, they're a larger size than the other ones on either side. So I ended up showing the black here, but not here. And it's the same here. So no black and no black. So we're okay. I thought we weren't, but we're good. So now I'll copy the other one. Again, bring it straight across without trying to trigger that door. And if I remember right, it was at 89, 1489, and voila. So the last piece will be the, if I can position myself, will be the inner one to fill in the gap, if you can see it, the gap between the glass and the wall here. So, very tricky, trying not to close the door on myself. When you're working with a tight interior here, it's kind of tricky getting just right. Again, it's probably not going to be perfect, but we want to get it kind of close. I'm just making sure there's not like a big gap there between the two pillars. So okay, I think that finishes the framework of it, the body of the train. Subway, the train, the tram, I don't know, public transportation. Okay, now we already duplicated this emblem on the other side. We have these here. I probably should go ahead and duplicate that on the other side as well, just for mixy-matchy kind of, uniformity or whatever. But I'm going to hold off on that for now. I don't know why. I just feel like I'm going to have a hard time viewing it from one. It's in a slightly odd position. So for now, we're just going to leave that be, I think. So now we can work on kind of filling in the details on the interior, like the luggage racks and some of the cockpit stuff, which, I don't know what all I'm going to put in here to make it look like a cockpit. I have no idea what. I imagine there's lots of screens and buttons and things like that, so we're going to see what we can put together maybe. I think I'm very intimidated by that stuff, so I'm going to start with the luggage racks. I think I can handle